Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I want to chat a little bit about how things remind you of your ex and how, especially rolling into the holidays, how you can do some things to help that basically take the edge off just a little bit. One of the things that's really tough is whenever you're constantly thinking about and ruminating about the past and your ex. And you can get in this struggle to where you are actually really beating yourself up because, maybe you understand what's going on. You're starting to put the pieces together, put the puzzle pieces together, and you're starting to realize that maybe that relationship just wasn't the best relationship in the world. But you still haven't fully accepted it yet, and you're still struggling with it. This is incredibly complicated when you're rolling into the holidays because it's just tons of reminders of what the past was, what you used to have, what you thought was reality, and you're stuck in this mode of longing for that past or that illusion, and you can find yourself really struggling to basically understand what happened. Now, even with a lot of knowledge and understanding of what narcissistic personality disorder is, what the issues are, how it manifests itself, you can still in the back of your mind be struggling with a couple of different things. One is the facade of the illusion of what the other person was putting out there. That's a tough one, and that's one that I think a lot of people do struggle with. But the other aspect of it is a little bit more nuanced and is a little bit more subconscious, and that is having that fundamental feeling that you really didn't deserve any better anyways. That was the best it was going to get, that you're unworthy of love. You're unworthy of a good quality person that treats you well. And this is important to mention because it can really wreak havoc on your progress. Whenever you're sitting there struggling with trying to figure out what happened, and you have this little inner voice in the back of your mind that's basically telling you that you're not worthy, that you don't deserve love, you're really a failure, you're not that good, whatever that internal voice is. And that really goes back to whatever happened, most of the time, whatever happened with you as a young child. These things happen early on. If you remember the video I did with Chris Godinez, she was talking a lot about that as a therapist, she works with people to deal with the inner child work. If you remember correctly, when she was talking about coaching, which is what I do, I help people deal with the situation that's really right at hand. But a therapist, at least a good therapist, is supposed to work on that inner child work, find where the core wound really was and help you heal from it. Because when you're able to heal from that, then it really takes away a lot of the extra struggles and roadblocks that you're trying to deal with. A lot of my videos that I have in my Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery, I'll put a link up at the card above, is helping you deal with the moment. It's helping you deal with facing the illusion, facing the betrayal, dealing with, trying to wrap your head around what that person is or what that person was. And those are really good things to deal with in the moment to help get you calm to where you're able to start dealing with other things. I know for me, whenever I was going through therapy, and I almost said attorney, and my therapist was working to try to get to those core wounds, it was too much for me to deal with at the time. Now, she was able to link a few things together. She was able to take some things I'd said over the course of us working together and help piece some of those pieces together. But at the time, I was so stressed and focused on the pain that I was dealing with in the moment that I didn't have the capacity to deal with all of that. Now, the reason I mention this is because it's a big part of it. And a lot of the stuff that you're going to struggle with whenever you're first in the early part of this is trying to wrap your head around that. You might be making excuses for your ex. You might be turning around and saying that the things that happened, maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought it was. Or maybe you brought it on yourself. Or maybe you're taking it out of context. That was one that I used to struggle with where I'm like, well, maybe this isn't really, maybe what I think it is isn't really real. It's just me trying to make an excuse for it. Now, in my situation, the benefit I had is that my ex, every time I was feeling like that, would take her bony little finger and go boop right in my eye and help remind me that, yeah, something else was going on here. But if your ex is trying to hoover back around, or if your ex is sending things over, it's the holidays. Maybe whenever you send the kids over, they send over your favorite cookies or they send something over. And they're trying to, it can mess with your head because you could think, well, maybe it's an olive branch. Maybe they're throwing something out there to try to mend a fence. Maybe they're trying to change things. I know that I struggled with that. And there were a few times in the beginning stages when those olive branches, so to speak, were put out there. One of two things happened. The first part of it, in the early parts of it, when we were still going through the divorce, it was just to lull me down because there was an attack getting ready to happen. If you're struggling with this, look at the actions and the words. That's the key. If they're doing something nice and there's a a slap on the face right around the corner, or something shows up in court, or they try to do something to just completely catch you off guard, that's your answer of what's really happening. If it was an olive branch and it was real, they wouldn't be trying to lull you in a false sense of security and then leverage an attack. So it's important to look at everything with a clear mind and with open eyes on what's really happening. Hey, if they send something to you and they really want to mend a fence and they're going out of their way to try to make this the best situation possible, then you're one of the lucky ones, and you might be in a situation to where you're going to be able to co-parent and really work with your ex. That does happen. Not everybody is a toxic nightmare. But if you're still fighting with them, trying to force their rules on you, or like, let's say in my situation, when it's like, okay, I'll be nice, but I want to take the kids out of state and never let you see them. Okay, I'm being a little melodramatic. Yes, I would have still gotten to see the kids, but obviously that wasn't the type of parent that I wanted to be. Then there's your answer on what's really going on. And it's important to look at that, because all of this when you're first starting out is so stressful. It's such a difficult thing to do because you just don't know. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe that you could have been married to somebody who was having you live an illusion, having you live something that wasn't real, and now you're in a situation to where it's just the biggest battle you've ever had. I know I've said this before, but early on with this, I had a conversation with my father, and this was before I really understood. Well, it took me a year after the divorce to really understand, but I still was in denial. I was still thinking, no, she can't be this evil. It just can't be. I've spent 20 plus years with this person. There's got to be something there. My dad pulled me aside and he said, you're in the middle of a war and you are now fighting the worst enemy that you've ever had in your life, and they will do anything and everything to destroy you. And the key on that is look at what their actions are and don't make excuses for it. I know that I did. I know in the beginning part of it, I was thinking, oh my God, if it just wasn't for those friends that were giving her bad information, or her attorney that was giving her bad information, or her family, whatever it was, I kept making excuses. If somebody is doing something like this, they're doing it because they want to. They're doing it because they choose to do it, and then they're surrounding themselves with people who validate why they're doing it, and they're pushing people out of their realm of influence that are telling them to do something different. And I'll tell you that if you have a conversation with them, they will try to say that they were getting bad information, they didn't understand, that whatever the deal is. The thing is, a genuine person, somebody who fundamentally has a good nature, is empathetic, will not do this to you. They will not use your kids as a weapon. They will not use the court system to try to crush you to get you to do or get them what they want. They won't do it. If you're dealing with somebody that's doing that, you have to look at the reality of what's going on. Hopefully with that, you can start to stabilize yourself, and then when you roll into the holidays and you're thinking about those good times or those family things when everyone was together and you thought everything was good, you can take a critical look at it and really decide, or really look at it in a way to see if that really was the case. I know for me, For the majority of my marriage, I was talking about this in another video. I was stressed, I was anxious, I was incredibly depressed. I knew something was fundamentally wrong. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted the illusion to be true. I wanted my fairy tale relationship. I wanted the story of meeting somebody, quickly knowing that they were the one, quickly getting married, spending the rest of our life together knowing that it was real. I wanted that illusion so bad that I ignored the red flags and I ignored the reality of what was going on. I hope this is helpful. I hope that this can help you if you're in the midst of struggling with this. You're not alone. You're not alone with this. There are a lot of people who've been through this. Yes, if you're in the early parts of this, it can be incredibly painful. It can just feel like somebody's ripping your heart out, and it feels like your ex has ripped your heart out and is jumping up and down on it. This is just part of the healing process. If you can, find yourself a good therapist to help you work on the inner child work. If you need coaching, find yourself a good coach. I do coaching. You can go to my website, dadsurvivingdivorce.com/coaching, and book a session if you think that I could help you. But just know that you're not alone, that you're not going to be trapped in this forever. And the hold that they have over you will not define the rest of your life. On that, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.